of the Wolokolie administration. Despite the passage of the year, we remain in the current behavior as a nation. This evening, we observed our president deliver a speech in which he claimed everything is exceptional. However, he failed to provide the Liberian populace with the facts of the harsh reality of our country. Is it possible that we have been stagnated for the past 45 years and are now simply venting our frustration about potential events? We are seeking opportunity for all individuals that have responsible chance for this life. Are we seeking the silver lining to prepare our nation into the 21st century? Or will we continue to postpone concrete actions for an additional 5 years? This is the time when we as a nation must rise to the occasion. It is incumbent upon all of us as citizens to embody the country we are meant to course of action. We are restricting ourselves. We are limiting ourselves because we believe this is a difficult period. As a result, the country will decline due to the lack of employment opportunities, corruption, and economic policy that are not in the best interest of our people. Mr. President, you are 80 years old. It has been concluded. We are currently situated in the 21st century. In 2005, Mr. President, the administration in which you serve as the first in line to power and as president of the Senate renegotiated the same contract with Firestone as our leadership did in 1929. This agreement resulted in a removal, then and now, resulted in a removal of our raw materials from our land rather than establishing factories or tire facilities in our country. A centimeter was permitted to thing under your administration that you were part of. We can discuss our gold and diamond mines that are being exploited by foreigners directly beneath our feet. And our government is allowing this to continue without any vision in which will ensure Liberia enjoy our windfall profits. Mr. President, the youthful individuals, including myself, who voted for you, did not vote for the same thing as they did in the past. We want a different and better result. We need a different and better Liberia. And we are not prepared to wait for another 177 years. Personally, it is imperative to begin taking bold steps. It's imperative to take bold steps, bold strides. Now is the moment to incorporate Liberian youth into our nation's triumphs. There is no way that we can allow our young nation to continue to be reduced to begging. We cannot afford to wait and watch other West African nations, West African countries, while we remain seated with you and others suggesting we wait. Mr. President, what are you anticipating? Mr. President, what are you expecting the nation to anticipate? Mr. President, we the young people of Liberia want a new Liberia. Just because we were born into poverty does not mean we should die in poverty. We need a Liberia that has a middle class that empower young people to believe that when they work hard and do the right thing, they can make it in this Liberia. We do not all have to leave to be somebody somewhere outside of Liberia. Mr. President, your colleagues intend to invest $150 million, United States dollars, in a park. Now, a park is not bad, but a park is not a priority. May I suggest that we collaborate with those individuals to construct a water distillation facility that will decrease our mortality rate in our nation by ensuring that every household has access to safe and clean drinking water. This will stop the practice of young and elderly others lugging buckets of water on their heads and will generate thousands of employment opportunities for the plumbing industry nationwide. Mr. President, these are the courageous actions that we, the young people of Liberia, voted for in 2023, and what we have long needed for the past 45 odd years. It is time for the Liberians to establish a universal health care system that offers high quality health care system service for the entire nation. A healthcare system in which all Liberians are shareholders and stakeholders. A system funded by increased revenues generated by our government that both citizens and businesses will make. Since 1975, Mr. President, Social Security has been established with the intention of assisting and leveling the playing field for everyday Liberians. The poverty rate in Liberia has been increasing annually since 1975 as politicians, businesses, business leaders, and the entire nation have observed their escalation. It is now imperative that we as a nation implement Social Security welfare program. It is now time for every Liberian over the age of 65 who is disabled and reside below the poverty line to be entitled to a monthly payment of $275 to $350 United States dollars or Liberian dividend. We are not able to sit and wait, just sit and wait and permit our country to persist in this downward trajectory. As a nation that is abundant in natural resources and cultural heritage, a courageous and magnificent country was established by our forebears on July 26, 1847, when they crafted our Declaration of Independence. We can all take pride in our Liberian heritage. We have experienced both highs and lows. It is possible there are more lows than highs. Nevertheless, we, the Chilean movement, are here today to inform our fellow citizens that a new Liberia is being born around us, and Liberians in the diaspora as well. The first drafters of the 1847 and the second drafters of the 1986 Constitution refused to permit our nation to become a federal state. Instead, a unitary state. It has been so for 177 years due to fear, lack of trust in each other, selfishness, greed for power, and the lack of belief in ourselves as Black people. Today, the Chilean movement is present to request that all Liberians populace join us in this effort to transition Liberia into the 21st century. We cannot afford to persist on this diminishing course. It is not appropriate for the central government to permit each county to maintain their economic and oversee their developmental agenda. It is now the responsibility of the citizen of each county to elect the leadership that will administer their respective areas rather than being dictated by individuals from Monrovia who should be in charge. This is the moment for each county to make the decision regarding the development of its natural resources. It is now imperative that each county leadership be held accountable to the citizens rather than to political parties and a president. Now, it is not appropriate for each county to implement taxes that will encourage development in accordance to their policies, principles, and practicalities. Honorable senators and representatives of Liberia, now is the time for this body to do the job they are hired to do and pass meaningful laws that will impact the everyday average Liberian life. Now is the time to amend the Constitution to reduce senators and representatives and president tenures in office. You should cut senatorial time to 6 years from 9 years, representative to 2 years from 6 years, president to 4 years from 6 years. You must decentralize the government by taking some power away from the presidency, by making each county become where they are free to elect their own county and city leadership. Now is the time to allow the people, now is the time to allow, and with the help of the central government, to allow the people of the Sky High County of Nima County, the Port City of Buchanan Grand Bassa County, the friendly people of Bone County, to the Pambata Tampadu eating folks of Maryland, to decide what development they want for themselves. Let's stop lawmakers from Monrovia telling our city mayors and superintendents what they should do to build their counties and city. Leaders, now is the time to pass legislation to reduce your salary from $15,000 to $5,000 United States dollars. Now is the time to show the nation that coming into is to make positive change and not get rich overnight. Now is the time to get away from the bag of rice, t-shirt giving, football playing, politicians, and politics. Mr. President, it is time for businesses of all types to contribute their reasonable share of taxes to facilitate our nation's transition into the 21st century. Now is the time to reduce taxes for the working Liberians. We are calling on you in this legislative body to reduce the working Liberian taxes so they can take more homes to their farm, money to their families. Now is the time to create more formal jobs and get away from the informal jobs. Now is the time that market women, motorcyclists, keke riders, taxi drivers be registered business in Liberia, paying taxes and paying into Social Security. It is imperative that we transition our nation from a currency economy to a cashless one. This will enable us to effectively collect revenues in order to advance our nation. Mr. President, Liberians do not require you to circumvent development, dictate what we must hear, but to make the necessary decision. My fellow Liberians, our capability are not restricted by the sky. It will require all of us to become citizens rather than tribesmen and idiots. Before seeking improvement from leadership, we must demand the best of ourselves. My fellow citizens, let us advocate for development that will mitigate poverty rates in our country. Mr. President, you were elected to take bold steps, but you are behaving like every president or every leadership since April 12, 1980. You were supposed to make the decision that will build this nation that have been lacking for the past 45 years. You cannot afford to be mediocre. Our nation cannot afford to be mediocre. Progress in Liberia has been at a standstill since the bloody day of April 12, 1980, 45 years ago. Mr. President, the national budget passed by this legislative body, which you signed into law, show the status quo is as usual. You can put a red, black, green, and pink lipstick on a pig, and it will still be a pig. It will be a pig with a red, black, green, and pink lipstick. Mr. President, you and your administration need to show leadership on how to improve economic upward mobility for the young people of Liberia. Your administrations, your ministers, directors need to stop their gimmicky parties, their war shows, braggadocious interviews that leave and continue to leave young people still falling by the wayside. What economic policy can a young man or woman see themselves in to be successful? Now is the time to have your Minister of Foreign Affairs establish trade deals with other African countries in the South, in the East, and North of Africa. We can sell our cassava leaf, our potato grain, our yams, and other crops that grow abundantly in our nation. We can sell Liberian water. Liberia is one of the wettest countries in the world, but our population still suffers from lack of clean, safe drinking water. Mr. President, to my fellow Liberians, the water bottle industry is $342 billion a year. But still, we cannot have safe, clean drinking water for people to improve their mortality rate. How can a nation that is 177 years old sit down and allow foreign companies to build a train track to ship their natural resources out of their nation, and you call that development and in the nation's best interest? How asinine is that? How indolent is that of you as a president and as a legislative body? How can we allow that to continue to happen? The global iron ore and steel industry was quoted to be $1.6 trillion in 2023. By 2034, steel and iron ore industry will be $2.6 trillion. Liberians can develop from that. We need to build a steel factory in Liberia. My fellow Liberians, I know the naysayers are going to spend their time telling you we are a small nation. They will say we are not very intelligent for people to be governed that way. They will say, just wait. They will even say we don't have money to be a federal nation. My fellow Liberians, don't listen to that. If not now, when? If not us, then who? These are the naysayers who have and continue to benefit from this form of Liberia. They want to continue the status quo. They don't want to share the wealth and political power of our nation. So, rethink in Liberia we need for the 21st century. In Liberia, well, we are all citizens. We are our brothers and sisters keepers. In Liberia, in which we realize there is no Kweda Liberian, no Bassa Liberian, no Christian Liberian, nor no Mandingo Liberian. We need a Liberia where we are just Liberian. Now is the time to rethink in Liberia that every child are in school regardless of their economic and social status. Rethink a Liberia where a Liberia State Grand University is annexed in each county. Rethink a Liberia that each county becomes a state and governed as such. Rethink a Liberia that legislative and president tenures are reduced. Rethink a Liberia that has universal health care that will deliver affordable and safe health care. Rethink a Liberia that running water and safe drinking water is in every house. Rethink a Liberia that feeds herself by growing her stable food and other crops. Rethink a Liberia that everyone is paying their fair share of taxes. Rethink a Liberia that our natural resources are not being shipped out in our country, but instead products are being made here in Liberia. Rethink a Liberia that we can produce products that can go on the world market and say made in Liberia. Allow me to leave you with a quote. In order for something to come, something must go. And that all can sometimes mean let go of what you know until now. Empty the cup and start from the beginning. You must spill the old tea and pour a new one. We agree on more things than we disagree. Let us work on that 80% we agree on for a better nation instead of tearing each other down because of the 20% we disagree. Together, we stand. Divided, we shall fall. Thank you. May God bless you. May God bless Liberia and bless Africa.